the guys from Boston are coming on the floor. The guys in green, the Boston Celtics, and they are being roundly booed here by the crowd of close to 40,000. By the way, the NBA record for a playoff attendance game is just a little over 41,000. Pistons hoping to break that tonight. Well, CBS is not the only national media outlet covering this game in this series. Newspapers and magazines from coast to coast and in between covering particularly Game 6 tonight. Have a couple gentlemen with me here tonight who have been covering this entire series. Chuck Johnson, who works for USA Today. Jack McCallum, who writes for Sports Illustrated, joining us. Chuck, first of all, there are some people around the country who figure this has not been a very pretty series to watch because of the low-scoring games we've had. Do you buy that? Has it been good basketball for you to report on?
I think that was a valid statement up until Game 5. I think Game 5 in the Boston Garden was the kind of game that could really turn this series, and I really believe that the Pistons are going to win here tonight, and the Piston fans can start making their reservations.
Why so?
Well, it was the kind of victory you hadn't seen in any of the previous games where one team came from so far down. The Pistons were 14 down at halftime, and people had buried them. But they came back with such a comeback. That's the kind of comeback that a championship year is really made of, I think.
Jack, you travel around. You know the clubs very well, probably the communities involved in pro basketball. Everybody has assumed over a long period of time that it'd be Lakers and Celtics almost every year. But now that it could be Detroit, is the basketball fan around the country ready for the Pistons?
I'm not really sure. I'd like to say yes. I think the people that follow the NBA are. I can't accuse myself of bandwagon jumping because I picked the Pistons to get here back in the beginning of the year. Of course, they're not there yet. But I'm really not sure whether the average fan is ready, because throughout the decade of the 80s, it has been the Lakers and the Celtics, by and large, that has created the mystique of the NBA. So I think it'll be interesting to see, but I think the aficionado, the person that follows the NBA, certainly knows about the Pistons and is almost thirsting for a new type of matchup in the finals.
You think the average basketball fan is rooting for Detroit here tonight because maybe the image they have right now?
The average basketball fan? I would say the average basketball fan is probably rooting for the Celtics because that's what the average fan grew up with. A lot of times all he's heard about Detroit is the stereotypes of the dirty type of team, and they would rather see the Lakers and Celtics. Like I said, the real fan, the person who really follows it, I think would just as lief have a Pistons-Lakers matchup. I think would be attractive.
Chuck, there's some people around the league that figure the Pistons might be better equipped to play the Los Angeles Lakers if LA gets to the finals because of their speed and their depth. Would you concur with that?
Well, I definitely believe the Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers would be a great matchup. And the reason why it would be a great matchup is because the two teams have very similar styles. They both work their benches in and out, and they both can play different types of games. As you know, the Pistons can play a half-court offense, and even though their bread and butter is the run-and-gun game, as LA's is, LA can also play a half-court type offense. So if that series does develop, I think it's going to be one of the greatest series in NBA history. For one particular reason, that's the Magic and Isaiah matchup. And I think that's a matchup that a lot of basketball fans here in Detroit in particular have been wanting to see for years and years.
Jack, I think in their hearts, the Pistons figure they should be up 5-0 right now, having a chance to win all the other games that they have lost, the 2 games. Are the Pistons a better team right now than Boston?
Isaiah says they are. I think that was a little bit of press release hype type of stuff. As a team, certainly the Pistons are a better team. The Pistons go about 1 through 9. Let's face it, the drop-off factor when the Celtics take out their regulars is much more profound than with the Pistons. However, the Atlanta Hawks were also a deeper team than the Boston Celtics. Exact situation parallel to this 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. For Game 6, Atlanta came out very fired up, almost fanatical, which is the word Chuck used to describe how Detroit has to come out. And they, by and large, blew it by being that way. Boston capitalizes on kind of teams that come out and just play blindly without really thinking about it too much. So I think that's the main thing the Pistons have to guard against tonight.
Okay, in 25 words or less, give me your prediction for tonight.
I picked the Pistons at the beginning of the year. I think in order for them to get to the East, they'll have to win tonight, so I pick them to win tonight.
What about you, Chuck?
I think it'll be a Piston victory. I don't see them going back to the Boston Garden.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Both enjoy reading your stuff. Jack McCallum and Chuck Johnson of the Sports Illustrated magazine and USA Today. We'll be back with the coach, Chuck Daly, to close out Chuck Daly's one-on-one after this time.